Mr. Timmons.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I want to thank you for letting me waive on the subcommittee hearing. I am really just kind of shocked at what I just heard from the ranking member. This is one of the most ridiculous conversations I've ever had in Congress. For the last 3 years, President Biden has allowed millions and millions of people to cross the southern border illegally. The policies under Secretary Mayorkas have destroyed your cities, your beautiful Democrat bastions of socialism. These cities are destroyed. And all the Democrats now think this is a problem. Just a year ago, the administration was saying, there's no problem, there's no problem. The southern border is secure, the southern border is secure. Literally, the vice president, the president repeatedly said this. And finally, we agree there's a problem. We agree there's a problem now. Shocking, it only took 6 million, 8 million people crossing the southern border illegally, hundreds of thousands of people dying from fentanyl overdoses. New York, Washington, D.C., Chicago, San Francisco, in ruins because the amount of government benefits that are being absorbed by the millions of people that have crossed the southern border illegally are destroying your cities. Just 2 weeks ago, a Brooklyn school shut down. All the kids went remote because they didn't have any place to house immigrants. You have mayors screaming from the rooftops. Elected officials in Chicago recently said, we earned this. The progressives, their policies of open border sanctuary cities have caused these problems. They said that. These are Democrats that are saying this. So now you say, well, we tried to fix it in the Senate, some bizarre deal that involved $100 billion plus to Ukraine, Taiwan, Israel, completely unrelated, for a little teeny step in the right direction for border security, which still allows 5,000 people every day to cross the southern border. That is not a solution to this problem. We need to secure the southern border. And by the way, we don't need legislation to do this. We don't. All that Biden has to do is undo what he did in the weeks after he got sworn in. He needs to end catch and release. He needs to reinstate remain in Mexico. He needs to continue funding border wall construction. Those are the first three things. I've been on the border 5 times in the last few years, and the last time I was there, the Customs and Border Patrol agent didn't say, we need more money. He said, we need to turn the spigot off. We have way too many people crossing the southern border, and the current policies in place do not allow them to process them effectively. We have no way of knowing who's coming into this country. It's outrageous. So for you to say that the Senate border deal was the solution and we're not serious about it, your party wouldn't even agree there was a problem until a couple months ago. And now that there's an election coming up, all of a sudden it's a problem and it's the Republicans' fault? President Trump is not the person that caused this. It is President Biden. And the fact that President Biden said that it's Trump's fault is the most ridiculous thing in the whole world. I just want to start out. Mr. O'Brien, is it within President Biden's executive authority to reinstate remain in Mexico, to end catch and release, and to continue construction of the border wall, all of which he stopped within weeks of being sworn in? Can he do that right now?
Yes, he can. As a matter of fact, I think stopping construction on the border wall might not have even been lawful.
Does Congress need to do anything to address 90% of this problem? We don't need a law. We need a man at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue that doesn't know where he is or what his last name is to sign it.
Now, this is a simple matter of applying the Immigration and Nationality Act as Congress wrote it and following through on other legislation that Congress has passed, like those relating to building a wall. We've had the Secure Fence Act in place in at least since 2006, and there may have been an earlier version of that.
And again, walking away from the negotiated terms that President Trump had with Mexico, saying they created a National Guard. They said you're going to have to deploy tens of thousands of soldiers to secure your side of the border. And by the way, all these people that are coming over, that are trying to come into our country illegally to get asylum for some whatever credible fear means to anybody that cares about it, no, you can come and try, but you're going to stay in Mexico until you get your hearing, which, by the way, is 2, 4, 6, 8 years away. So, look, I'm just so thankful that my colleagues across the aisle agree this is a problem now. I'm just so thankful. But you're not going to blame this on Trump, and you're not going to blame this on the Republicans in Congress, because all President Biden has to do is sign his damn name. That's all he has to do. Problem solved. With that, Mr. Chairman, I yield back.
Thank you. First of all, before kind of my wrap-up, I'd like to respond to this idea that Donald Trump is behind actions of the Republican Party. I have never talked to Donald Trump. I haven't talked to Donald Trump in over 2 years. I think anybody who sees the bipartisan solution will realize that bipartisan solution will do a fraction of getting us back to where we were 2 years ago. We've seen an increase in the number of people being allowed in this country over the last 2.5 years from 20,000 to 370,000, which is intolerable. We have heard testimony today that we don't even have to negotiate something in Congress to end that. President Biden can, whenever he wants, either for health reasons or just as his general powers as described under the Supreme Court, he has the ability to close the border and stop that tomorrow. We heard interesting testimony today that as far as the people coming here, and we shouldn't be taking unlimited people regardless, but the people coming here are committing crimes at a much greater rate than the native-born population. The Biden administration is doing very little compared to past administrations to remove people after they commit crimes, including violent crimes, including sexual assaults of young women. But again, the number of people deported for committing crimes after they're here, a fraction of what they used to be. We heard from Ms. Vaughn that we have people taking advantage of public benefits, that's to say welfare-type programs, despite the fact that they're not supposed to be able. This is not a surprise to anybody who talks to their local social services department, talks to people, even people who hire illegal immigrants will tell you stories of them taking advantage of our welfare benefits, which is a problem. As far as minors are concerned, I think under the Biden administration, we're having about 9,000 minors a year unaccompanied by either parent. They're escorted into this country. I think it's absolutely appalling. If we had an American child lost somewhere, the police would, track down the parents, deliver them to the parents, make sure that child is safe. Here we have 9,000 kids a month come here without either parent. We don't make an effort to track down the parents after we give them to a sponsor. Who knows what's becoming of them? New York Times has reported over 80,000 kids missing. I don't believe that number, but I bet 30 to 40,000 unaccompanied minors they can't keep track of. So if we don't solve this problem, it's a grim problem. I am still hoping the Biden administration will wake up and do some serious negotiations as far as holding down this amount. I think the press has done a bad job of asking him questions. I personally would like to ask President Biden, we're right now up to 370,000 a month from 20,000 a month. How many people does he exactly feel it's appropriate to let into this country unvetted? I'd like to know that. Nobody asks him that question. Nobody nails him down on what we should do when people who commit serious violent crimes are not in this country. Should we deport them or not? And as the result, we continue to have this crisis of the border. I personally don't think we can even allow it to go another 12 months until the next president, or 11 months until the next president is sworn in. But in any event, I would like to thank all three of you for being here. I know
Mr. Chairman.
I was going to say one thing. With that, and without objection, all members have 5 legislative days within which to submit materials and additional written questions for the witnesses, which we forward to the witnesses. If there's no further business, without objection, I want to thank you for coming here all the way from South Carolina.
Mr. Chairman, I was just going to submit one thing.